All right, welcome back to Ron's Garage. It's early Saturday morning, and I'm fiddling around just for a few minutes. But I just, let me unplug my charger here. Just got the car back down on the ground. All the stuff underneath is done. Changed the oil, or drained the oil and the filter, and the plugs are done. Transmission lines are run. The dust cover over the flex plate is done. Everything's done under there that I need to do right now. So I put the car back down on the ground, and when I pour the oil in it, I want to be able to prime that oil pump because it's been sitting for a while. So I'm making a oil pump prime shaft. I've got this old distributor. I've got another one over there too, but the old distributor, and I should have started when I started, but I used a pin punch and a drift, knocked the pin out of this hole to get this gear off, and then this whole thing slides out of the housing. Now I'm probably going to just cut this right about in here, and maybe cut the housing somewhere in there, and then I'll put the shaft back in the housing so it's got a guide. I may have to grind down on the end of the shaft here. I don't know how, there it is. I don't know if I take this off, how thick, if the shaft reduces in there or not. I'll check that first, but if it doesn't, I'll just grind down the shaft a little bit to fit in a 3/8 drill. And then I'll be able to prime the oil pump and fill up the oil filter and stuff before I do the first start. So that's what I'm working on right now. I'm by myself this morning, so I can't really film and do at the same time. So let me do some more, and then I'll get back to you. Thanks. All right, part two of making this oil pump primer for a small block Chevy. You can't see it, but I knocked off this bushing and this electronic ignition sensor and vacuum advance wing mounting plate, whatever you call it, I don't know. I knocked that off, put the shaft in the wire wheel, cleaned it up a little bit. You can't see much of it now because I got it into this vise. Last part is that. I'm hoping not to have to cut it, but you know, I can cut it. It's not that big a deal. But before I do that, I'm going to try to heat that up, and then because it looks like it's just pressed on there. Okay. And that's really thin stuff. I'm just going to try to heat it up a little bit and see if I can knock it off. So we'll try that. Be right back. All right, welcome back. What we have here is a shiny new homemade tool to prime the oil pump on my small block Chevy. How do we get to this from one of those? I'll show you. I did some of the videos already as I was making it, but I did skip over some steps that I think are pretty important. So I'll go through and review those right now. Those videos, first couple videos, came before this one, so I'm just going to review the steps. So to start off with, let's take this back out here. All right, so this part was easy. I just used a Sawzall and cut that off, okay? But before I got there, all of this stuff here is on the end of that shaft. So to get all that stuff off, first, as I said earlier, I used a drift pin and punched the pin out of this to get this gear off. That was fairly simple. I once saw a guy try to do that with a screwdriver on YouTube, and it didn't work so well for him. But anyway, Then off the top, I took all of these other pieces off here. Started with the springs and the fly wheels. These two little spring clips held this onto that. These two things here. Then this was part of this. That actually, I had to drive down the shaft all the way. Little quick tip here. When you pull this shaft out of the distributor, it's going to have a lot of buildup all over the place. And if you don't use a wire brush like that one, or even by hand if you need to, but basically make that shaft pretty and shiny, this bushing will not go over all that buildup. So you've got to get all that off if you're going to stand a chance of getting that bushing off. So I cleaned that up really well, and then as you can tell from the dents, I just put the shaft down like that on the workbench and just tapped it with a hammer, and this part drove the bushing all the way off. So then with all of these parts off, I cut the head off the distributor, made this. I cleaned this up in the wire wheel so it's not, dirty anymore. I finished cleaning off the shaft, and then because this is, I think 7/16, I didn't measure it, but that won't fit in my 3/8 drill. I just took the end of it and just kind of eyeballed it, keeping it perpendicular to the wheel, and just rolled it. Now there is a groove right here, kind of like an O-ring groove, but it's not an O-ring groove. That I just kept grinding until that was all flat with that groove. Then I had to go just a fuzz more. But, I just kept rolling it in there and slowly grind it down. Now, let me show you what happens here. I don't know how much of that you saw, but now it all fits together, and I can prime my oil pump. So that's a quick and dirty little how to make the right tool for the job. You can buy those, but it's so much easier to make it. Please excuse the mess on my workbench. All you need is an old distributor. You can find one. I've had a couple laying around. You can find them at junkyards. Hell, you probably have a friend that has one laying around. Don't know if it works for Fords. I suspect it does, although I think Fords, or is it Chryslers, Dodges, have like a removable shaft that goes between the distributor and the oil pump. That could be problematic, but anyway, I know it works on GMs, on Chevys, so that's how I did it. So now I can prime the oil pump and fill up the oil filter, which I couldn't do before I put the oil filter on the car, because with the headers and everything else, I had to tip the filter to get it in and out. So that would not have been fun. It would have been a little messy trying to get new oil up inside the car. But anyway, I can fill the oil filter now before I start it. So that's that. I'm going to tinker around a little bit more. I have to put my tranny cooler on, which goes right on the front of the radiator. I know I've shown you that. I've got the two lines. I got to trim down and then put on the bottom of the tranny cooler, and then that part's done. Then I got to get to work on the gas tank, getting that mounted with the rubber. I've got rubber strips that are going to go on those. Then I've got some steel, as I showed you before, to make the straps that go over the top to hold it in. Then I can mount the gas tank, which is ready to go, and start looking at pumping some fuel up through those lines just to clean them out. Then I'm ready to start it. So not too long, it's coming. Man, my garage is a mess. I need to take a couple hours and just straighten up. Yeah, I won't do that. I may pick up a little bit, but anyway. All right, then I got to start wiring. So that's coming. Oh, those are those through bulkhead connectors I told you about. I can use those as, you know, lugs to bring different wires up to, and they also pass through into the inside the driver's compartment, so in the cab. So I can tap off of those for hot and ground. So anyway, that's those, and I'll be working on it. So thanks for watching, and I hope to update a little more often. Thanks. Bye.